This week, I think I want to talk about awareness, um, because there's so many factors of awareness that are always affecting us that we're not aware of, that we're not even paying attention. Awareness is being aware of everything that's around us, everything that's happening, and a lot of times we're not aware. And what I'm referring to now is not necessarily the exterior things, but actually the interior things. It's what's happening within us and what's happening. We talked about thought last week. We talked about how thought creates. But a lot of times we just don't understand and we're not aware of what we're actually thinking. So today I want to touch on awareness. Does everybody understand that we are the creators of our own reality? So if we think in fear, we create fear. And it's not even thinking, it goes into the fact of knowing. So if we actually think it, but we don't know it, it doesn't happen. But when we think it, we know something. Yeah. And that's what actually happens. And that's what I want you all to become aware of. It's awareness. Making sure you're understanding and you're aware of what you're actually in the knowing of. So I want to take things beyond thinking, because we talk about thinking, we talk about belief, and thought is the power. It is the power. However, the knowing is the manifester. So if we're thinking, we must know what we're really thinking, not what we think on the surface, what we're subconsciously thinking, and what we subconsciously believe, and what we've been programmed. So today we're going to talk about awareness of what program we're actually running in our lives. So I want you all to take account just for a second and think about um, things that's going on in your life right now. I want you to think about the things that are in harmony, and I want you to think about some of the things that are in discord. And what I want you to do is think about what's in harmony. And I want you to think about what you feel when you feel harmony, when you feel things are all coming together. And what does that energy feel like inside of you? Because that energy that you feel inside of you that's in pure harmony, is producing the harmony around you, is your state of knowing. So we got to get to that state of knowing on the positive and not on the polar opposite of positive, or what we call the other thing. So let's talk about, and I want to everybody kind of get involved here. What do you feel? And I'll start with you, Kenzie. I'm not put you on the spot, but what do you feel when things are in harmony? What do you feel when you look at your life, and you look at what's going on in your life? If it's financial, if it's relationship, if it's business, if it's just your hobbies, if it's your spirituality, what does it feel like when you're in harmony? So,
first word in my mind is peace.
Okay.
Everything seems to there's peace, happiness. I smile a lot more.
Right. And I want you to take it a little bit further, because remember,
The surface.
the harmony, yeah, it's not necessarily surface, but the harmony, I want to go deeper, because deeper is where the true facts lie. Harmony is going to produce a certain feeling in your body. So that's what I want you all to focus on. When you're in harmony, what does it feel like? When I say feel, it's not like, okay, things are happy, you smile. That's true. But what does it feel like? Like, what is the emotion behind it? Go ahead, Ashley.
It's euphoric.
Yeah, it's euphoric. Okay, perfect. Euphoric. So when you're in that euphoric state, that's great. A great example. When you're in a euphoric state, that's when you're in a state of knowing, because that euphoric state is a high. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that high, you're constantly just like, wow, this is bliss. Yeah. This is perfection. And nothing else matters. Mm-hmm. That's when you're in a state of knowing, when nothing else matters, mm-hmm. in a state of positive knowing, in harmony. Now, you could be in a state of knowing and be on the other side of the polar opposite, and you can still feel the same thing. Nothing else matters. It goes on polar opposites, they're polar sides. So always remember that. When you're in harmony, it's a euphoric feeling, and it's like, it doesn't matter. Nothing else really matters at this point. You're euphoric. That means you're in a state of knowing. So what's on your mind and your thoughts is what's coming into your life right then. But now think about this. How often are you in that state during the day? Because that's the other thing. You can feel it, you can know it, but if you're in that state and it's 24 hours in a day and we're in that state 5 minutes a day, we got an issue. Okay? So that's the first level of awareness we need to take account to. Let's be aware of how often we're in that euphoric feeling. How often are we in that natural high? How often are we in a place where we're actually enjoying life? And if we're not in that place, then we have to be aware of that. That's the first time. So if we're aware that we're not in that space on a constant basis or on a regular basis, that means we're creating on the polar opposite. So that means we have to look at our life, and what's happening in our lives is because this is a state of knowing that we're in. That's the first step, is just understanding the state of knowing that you're in. And when you understand that state of knowing through awareness, you can make a change. But if you're never aware of what's happening to you, if you're never aware of what the blocks are in your life, or the blocks or the mental feeling that you have, you can never make that change. So I want you all to think about now the next thing. What does it feel like when things are in discord or disharmony? What does it feel like? Nobody in disharmony. So just, I want you to just think about, what does it feel like in disharmony? And that's actually good that you all actually have to stop and think about it. Because, yeah. And so what does chaos feel like in your gut?
Everything you don't.
It's like everything's showing.
Sure.
So it feel like you want to throw up.
Yeah.
Like you want to regurgitate, feel like you're in a knot, butterflies,
Yeah.
you're just nervous,
Yeah.
everything, you just want to sweat.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of that euphoric feeling. And so now when we're in that feeling, we're in a state of knowing. So everybody realize that. Doesn't matter what polar side you're on, but when you go to those extremes, be aware that's what you're creating. So if you find yourself in discord or disharmony and you feel that situation, stop, breathe, look around you, and then ground yourself. And when you ground yourself, you can balance it out. And then think about this, okay, if something is bringing disharmony to you, how is this really affecting your life? Does it really mean something to you in your life that's bringing you this disharmony? Because sometimes we can walk into an office and see somebody, oh, this person just irritates me. You just, get out. Yes, exactly. So when you walk in, but at the end of the day, this person is putting you in a state of disharmony. And so now your thoughts are, I don't like this person. I'm in disharmony. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling resentment. I'm feeling to push people away from me. And when we get into this state, guess what? Now we're creating an environment that produces exactly what we're asking for. Now be aware of this, because the next thing that happens is, guess what? That person that you're feeling that way towards is probably feeling the same way. So you got two subconscious minds now that are communicating and saying, battle, it's time to battle. And next thing you know, the person that you're feeling that discord to, they confront you and they give you a reason to really have discord. And when they do that, it's a constant battle. You start to battle here and you here and here. And next thing you know, it's like, this is what I've asked for. Because guess what? Remember that gut feeling? That's a knowing. The knowing is what produces the manifestation. So we have to be aware of what we know. So we have to go beyond thinking. I know we talk about thinking and everything starts with our thoughts, but our thoughts creates the knowing. But a lot of times our ego wants to keep us in discord. So our ego tells us our thoughts are happy. And you go around and we meditate and we pray and we talk to people in this supposedly bliss place. This harmony, so that's what we are walking around, but inside we're completely different. Inside we're in a place of complete discord, and we're not being aware that we're lying to ourselves, because this ego that we have wants to keep us in discord, because the ego wants power, until you learn to train the ego to take the power through the harmony, because the ego just wants power, period. So you have to teach it how to have the right power. It's easy for human beings. It's easy for us to be in discord because we tend to want to learn from pain. Pain, anguish, something that hurts us, we pay attention. Something that feels real good, like that euphoric feeling, you feel good, man. We get high. I'm good. But you might not learn the lesson. But something smack you upside the head, knock you down, and drag you across the road, you're going to remember that. That's the first thing we remember. So our minds are already set through the ego. In the Kabbalah, it talks about how the ego started. We started as human beings as limitless. We started with the ability just to have everything we want with no work, nothing at all. Everything was just given to us. But for some reason, human beings decided that wasn't good enough, so we had to work for something. So we created something called the ego. And so now the ego tricks us to make us get into a space where we have to find that love and euphoric feeling for what we want to stay in harmony. So the ego was given to us because we asked for us to have to work for the blessings. So we got exactly what we asked for. However, we can change things and go back to the original state of the human being if we just stay in the euphoric and the blissful place. It's pretty simple. So I want you all to just think about what I'm saying today and be aware. keep it really simple. Be aware of what's going on in your life, because the awareness, the awareness basically shows you what you're creating. The awareness of knowing. Because again, we can always tell ourselves when this up, and it's, you hear the saying, fake it till you make it. And I don't really like that, but it works, you know, if you have to use that. But I would really say come into a state of awareness so you don't have to fake it, and be honest with yourself. And if something is in discord in your heart, just say it's in discord in your heart, because the first thing to any step to conquering or curing or healing is admission. So we have to admit. And once we admit that, then we can start taking the steps to come into a state of knowing and understanding what we're actually creating through our thoughts or through our knowing. So I want you all to know, to be aware that knowing is the state that we create, that we manifest in. It's not just the thoughts, it's the knowing. And we can have a knowing thought that is here, and we can have a thinking thought that is over here. And we might want to have this thinking great thought, but if we're like, man, I know I'm in pain, I know I'm hurting, this is what you know. Although you're saying and portraying that my life is beautiful, but you go on social media. You got so many people out here posting all these beautiful lives and these cars and this stuff, and everybody's like, man, I want to be like them. You might not want to be like them, because all that is a facade, it's a front to make things look really good. And people buy into this look, but deep inside they're rotten. They're deteriorating at the core, because inside they're not happy. They're not content. And a lot of them are putting up fakes and phonies. And at the end of the day, you know when you're faking your phone. You know this. So, you know, be aware of what you see, because what you see that's out there is not always the truth. And what you think sometimes in your own mind is not always your truth. So I want you all to just think about awareness of your own truth, awareness of your own knowing, and embrace it, admit to it, be okay with it. And when you're okay with it, you can move from it and then start to change your thoughts. Some of the classes that I teach, it's Self-Mastery in 360 Degrees of Awareness. I teach you how to break down the factors of awareness and how to break down the self-mastery of who you are by looking at yourself as a mirror and describing who you are. And once you go through that process of describing who you are, you start to identify the cons, identify the pros. Then you go to the next step, you identify the pros and the cons, and then you stop all the cons and you glorify the pros. The next step, you basically stop, you identify the pros and cons, you stop all the cons, and now you transmute, you glorify the pros, then now you transmute the cons to a pro. And once you start to transmute so many pros, so many cons to pros, then you don't have time for the cons anymore. And you start to vibrate at a different frequency. When you vibrate at a different frequency, your awareness comes into a knowing of attainment, bliss, harmony. Okay? So those are different things I wanted to talk about today. So today our meditation is going to go deep into awareness. And again, my brother Mark Sheriel is here, and he's going to open the meditations with the Hebrew prayers. So I'm going to come around and spray the spray and all that good stuff. I just wanted to give you all a little bit of a kind of a lesson. And each week when One Feather is not here, I will be doing lessons so that we can get some ideas and understanding so we can move forward. Because even in this room, I see it. I see us meditating. I see us alhamdulillah, but then I see a light going in Discord because I get calls every week. I'm just like, okay, what am I teaching? Okay, you come in here for this hour, this 2 hours, and we're good. But we got to maintain this when we leave here. So that same alhamdulillah, that same blissful feeling, that same harmonic feeling that we feel while we're here, we need to learn how to amplify, and we need to learn how to extend it for the next few hours, the next few days. And then if it comes back and you kind of slip, okay, fine, let's do it under meditation. And now, if you see, I keep this little phone here with me. I'm putting everything is on Zoom. So every meditation, every class that we're doing from now on is recorded. It's live recorded. So if you want it, I'll send it to you.